Hey YouTube, happy Thanksgiving to everyone. It is a beautiful day outside, and I don't know about you, but I personally have a lot to be thankful for. I'm thankful for my family and my friends, especially my children. I'm thankful for my health. I'm thankful that I have a job, a source of income. I'm very thankful for my wealth, and there's many other things that I'm thankful for as well. And one thing in particular that I'm going to get into this video. But the purpose of this video is to tell you the real story of Thanksgiving. So this is the story that is not told in your average public institution. In school we learned that the Pilgrims immigrated over to this country, which was then the future United States of America. And they didn't know how to farm the land, and it was a really harsh winter, so many of them died. And then, if it wasn't for the Indians pretty much saved their butts, taught them how to farm, and then the next year they had a massive abundance of things to eat, of harvest. This is not entirely accurate. First of all, do you not think that the Pilgrims knew how to farm before they came to this country? Yes, the terrain was different. I'm sure the soil was different. But the fact that they didn't know how to farm that well was not the main reason why most of them starved to death. When the Pilgrims first came over, they settled in Plymouth in late 1620. And then, yes, the Indians did teach them how to farm, and it was a really harsh winter, and many of them died. But that harvest of 1621, which we're taught is the official Thanksgiving harvest, that harvest was poor. It was not a large harvest, and it was only a temporary relief. And between the years of 1621 and like 1623, I believe, many pilgrims died. Many pilgrims starved to death. Okay? What were they celebrating on that first Thanksgiving? The fact that most of them were going to die over the next couple years? No. That first harvest in 1621 was not the real Thanksgiving. Now, what was preventing the colony from thriving, from growing an abundant harvest? It wasn't because they didn't know how to farm, and it wasn't because of harsh winters. It was because they adopted communism. Yes, the early settlers, the Pilgrims, they adopted a very early version of a socialist economic system where everyone had to work for the common good and contribute all the fruits of their labor to what they called the common store. So it was an early form of communism, of socialism, whatever you want to call it. And it wasn't until the harvest of, I believe, around 1623, 1624, where they were actually able to harvest an abundance of crops. And that was the last time they had the problem of not having a large harvest, at least for a while. And they started harvesting so much corn that they started to export it. So what was the difference? What happened between the years of 1621 and 1623, 1624? Well, Governor Bradford, who was the governor of the Plymouth colony at the time, legalized private property. Yes, he was like, from now on, everyone will be allowed to grow corn for their own household, and he assigned each household a parcel of land of private property to grow their corn. And then that was the last time that they had the problem of a poor harvest. So what were they thankful for? They were thankful for their freedom. Right? That is what private property rights are. Like I've stated, it all stems from you own yourself. If you mix yourself, your body, your labor your mind with resources, then you own the product of your labor. Unless you have the right to private property, in my mind, you are not free. That is the only true freedom, is to be able to have your private property rights protected. If all human interaction is voluntary, and the only time force is used in the protection of private property rights, then that is freedom. And that is what I believe in. But anyway, this is what the settlers were thankful for. And this is what Thanksgiving is about. All right? It is the celebration of free enterprise, of what made this country so great was free enterprise. It wasn't government. And the thing that saved the Pilgrims was not the Indians. It was not a milder climate, but it was the fact that they were each able to work towards their own self-interest. And they had liberty. That is what caused the first actual Thanksgiving. And you can read about the real story of Thanksgiving in the book of Plymouth Plantation by William Bradford, who was the governor at the time, who legalized private property. He can account for this in his own words. All right. What source is more credible than the dude who was there during the time? All right. So I believe what he writes in his book. I have no reason to not believe it. And I've read it. So I suggest that you check it out too. It's called Of Plymouth Plantation by William Bradford. It's a pretty long book, and it talks about the whole Pilgrim story of before they even came to this country, of how they gained asylum in Holland, and then they decided to immigrate over to the land that was to be the United States. So I highly recommend that book. And to all of you communists who are celebrating Thanksgiving today, you're a bunch of idiots. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy your day. Hopefully you have a day off like I do. And I'll talk to you later.